Because right now, even though I'm a member of the Satanic Temple, it's starting to become clear that there are issues that are popular to fight, and then there are issues that are not popular to fight. And most groups are starting to become...
Hello, intactivists. Today I have a special guest with me today, Walter Fletcher. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Awesome.
Hope you're doing good too.
I am doing fantastic, and I'm glad that you are here. So for those who don't know you, who are you?
Well, I'm an intactivist from Maryland. I've been doing this for over 10 years now. And I got into it after I realized the harms that I still deal with because of circumcision.
Okay, so in your 10 years of advocacy, what are some of the things that you've done?
I've actually worked with the Bloodstained Men, done protests with them out at Washington, D.C. I've done one or two, I think, in Virginia. I've worked with Your Whole Baby and Intact America online. I've started my own webpage on Facebook called Campaign to End Child Genital Mutilation. And I've been advocating, and I've had a lot of friends that have kept their sons intact because of me.
Okay, that is awesome. Seems like you've been doing quite a bit these past 10 years.
Not
So,
as much as I'd like.
yeah. So, tell me about your group though. How does that work?
Which group?
Um,
The Facebook page?
yeah, the Facebook page.
Okay, all it is really right now is a primer for a campaign that I'd actually like to set up and maybe one day get into 503 nonprofit. Basically, I'll put up stories about what's happened to boys and girls and intersex children and why the cutting of healthy genitals need to stop, why we shouldn't do it to children when we talk about consent and stuff like that. I am getting ready to switch over to that one more or less primarily than my regular account.
Okay, awesome. But that's only on Facebook. That's not on Twitter or anything
Right
else.
now, but I do advocate on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. I'm on Threads. I haven't gotten an invite for Blue Sky yet. I've tried Rumble, didn't quite care for it. There's a few others that I've worked on that I'm trying to get all managed together.
Okay. So if you had to describe the intactivist movement and how well it's doing, how would you describe that?
I would describe it as a fight for equal protections under the law for all children. Basically, right now, girls are the only ones who have protections by way of federal and state laws. And I'd like for boys and intersex children to be given the same consideration to bodily autonomy and human rights that girls have.
All right.
And right now, the intactivist community is basically trying to do that, but focusing more on males because there's very little advocacy for them while we already have laws for girls and all.
Okay. Well, I'm kind of asking because it seems like you're definitely like on the front lines advocating. Like, how well do you think it's going? Because some activists say, oh, in 10 years, this is going to be outlawed for sure, or whatever. Do you think it's going
I'd
well?
like to think that. I'd like to think that, but realistically, unless something major happens, that's not going to be a actual thing to happen. What we need to do is get lawmakers that actually want to listen to us and will return our calls. We need to have politicians that aren't afraid of being called anti-religious, because a lot of people, when we're out on the front lines, as you say, will yell at us and say that we're being anti-Semitic because of what we're fighting for, when all we're caring about is keeping equal protections and for the people that the children become to make their own decisions. But
Okay.
right now, we don't have the lawmakers who want to listen. I've actually put up on my Facebook page emails that I've sent, and I will check back every now and then and let people know if I've heard back anything or not.
Okay. So if you do end up making a nonprofit, is it going to be more legal based or is it going to be like a protesting group? Well, like, how would that be?
I'd like for it to be both. Right now, there's one intactivist that I know of who has a legal base, I guess you would say, organization that he's working with in order to try and go that route. And it's, I believe it's GALDEF, GALDEF. And I believe it stands for like Genital Autonomy Legal Defense.
Education fund.
That's it. Uh, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, we cover them quite a bit.
Yeah. And right now, I even told Men Are Human on, let's see, X, that he needs to check them out because he's looking for like organizations to do fundraisings for.
Okay. So out of all of the intactivist groups, which like do you have like a particular like favorite or because it's interesting too because you are starting a new intactivist group and typically when new or genital autonomy groups, whenever that happens, typically there's a reason for it. Like I feel like this role isn't being filled this well. Does that make sense? Like is there like do you think that we could be
Yeah,
doing something better?
it would be awesome if we could just all come together and have one group. One of my biggest complaints about the fight for equality right now is that we take issues that everybody has, that everybody, meaning men, women, trans, everybody experiences, and we basically splinter it into all these different groups. And by the time we get to some groups, there's no more help that can be done. So it would be nice if we could all come together and make an amalgam. Maybe, this group will head off to this area, this group, this area, stuff like that. I'm hoping that we can all work together to get this goal, to come to fruition.
Okay. So how well do you think that's going, like working together? Because I covered like the divisiveness of intactivism, with intactivists or gender autonomous people suing other nonprofits. I've covered other nonprofits splintering off into the war in the Middle East and the trans movement and LGBT, and it's like wait, aren't you supposed to just be an intactivist group? But I've also talked about how Colorado ABC and Cockfight and Bloodstained Men, how they all work together. So
Right.
what do you think on how well we work together?
There's groups that work well together, and then there's groups that don't quite work well together. And it all boils down to personal politics. Like there are those within the intactivist community who are also against trans affirmative care. And that's, they go off to one group while I'll work with other groups. I try and stay away from the ones that don't focus solely on intactivism. And I don't know. I mean, I can kind of see where the ones that are fighting against surgeries being done to children, I can see where they're coming from because my peer review is nothing until 18. But I still try and stay straight onto, no pun intended, onto intactivism and try and keep it just intactivist related.
Okay. This actually brings up a fan question. So I got a fan question on my Discord. I don't know if you're in there or not, but
I
uh
am at times.
okay, that's awesome. So, what is your opinion on whether or not the transgender community is receptive to ending circumcision of minors? Because there are some transgendered supporters that do push surgeries and puberty blockers on minors?
Me personally, I mean, I have a trans son, and he knows that my belief is nothing until 18, and that's for a couple of reasons. One, if something goes wrong, you know, I want it to be his decision to decide about his body. And if something goes wrong, I can be there to help him. I don't want to be the reason that something went wrong. I know that sounds kind of selfish, but
Better safe than sorry type mentality.
pretty much, I want him to be the one to make the decisions about his body. Although, as I said, 18 and above, yes, hormone blockers and, well, puberty blockers and hormones, I don't have a problem with at any age. Those can all be reversed. But surgery is a lot more difficult. That's my view.
Okay. And you know what? I'm just gonna get this other fan question out of the way too. And I don't actually know your backstory too well. But your opinion on why the Satanic Temple seems to refuse to take up the issue of male genital mutilation when they claim they want to protect all children from harm, especially harm in the name of religion.
Because right now, even though I'm a member of the Satanic Temple, it's starting to become clear that there are issues that are popular to fight, and then there are issues that are not popular to fight. And most groups are starting to become only interested in fighting the ones that are popular. There are those within the Satanic Temple who don't see circumcision as a violation of bodily autonomy, and it's pretty much an end fight right now. A lot of people agree, but a lot of people also don't. I've brought this up multiple times over the years to them, and I've gotten back hardly anything when it comes to response. Originally, the National Council, which is no longer a thing anymore, turned me down and said that that wasn't within their purview to pick up and fight. And that's all they said. So right now I'm calling out the Satanic Temple because the third tenet is that everybody is inviolable, subject to one's own will, which to me would mean also circumcision shouldn't be done if there's no medical need.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I wonder if, I don't know, little images and you would ever like work together. I don't know how that would work. Just
Oh,
because
I'd be
little
happy
image.
to work with them.
Okay. Like I didn't know if like I guess I think there's like a maybe a misconception that satanic people and Christians won't work together. I don't know. Like do you put your politics and like religion aside when it comes to intactivism?
I try to, but with, like, as I said, the last circumstance when we were talking about the Satanic Temple, I can't really do that. But most of the time I do try, but I also try and let Christians know that in their own Bible it says not to circumcise. When I have people telling me that they do it because they're Christian, I've had people try and get me with, like, well, it's been tradition in this religion for so long. I'm like, yes, but if you look back in the past of the religion, you'll see that even their own scholars admitted it was for less pleasure, and it's been changed multiple times throughout the millennia. I try and use what knowledge I have of religion in my fight.
Okay, that is awesome. It definitely seems like you're very well read on different religions. Yeah. I would love your opinion on like different intactivist groups, especially of which all this stuff going on. But let's just start with Foregen. Have you heard of Foregen before?
Yes, I actually met with one of the co-founders of Foregen when he had a show in Philadelphia. And I also
Okay.
got one of his little foreskin like
The
props they
HUFO.
had to show what was taken from men.
I think it was called the HUFO, HUFO.
It might be.
Okay.
It was like rubberish.
Yeah.
It's like a rubber foreskin that he used to show people what was taken.
Okay. So did you meet Vincenzo Alio? Does that
That's
ring a
it.
bell?
That's him. Yeah, Vincenzo.
Okay, that's awesome. What was he like? Because that's like the leader of Foregen.
He was actually pretty awesome. I was there with him for about an hour, and I was like the only person there at the time. I came, I think, a day late from the main day that it was going on, but I still got to meet him. I got my picture taken with him, and I do have that somewhere on one of my Facebook pages. So that was actually really cool.
Yeah. So do you think Foregen is going to get past human trials and go public?
I really hope so. Last I heard, they were getting cadavers, and because they had done the sheep trials, and that the sheep trials were all passed and all,
They're not
so
done.
they're working. They're not done.
No, they have to do
Okay.
part two again. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, see, I need to read up more.
Hey, it's all good. A lot of stuff happens here, so
Yes. I really hope that they do get to human trials soon. If I could, I'd volunteer, but right now I can't because I'm also the only one in my family that can work or drive. So they wouldn't have me for a while, and I wouldn't be able to provide for them.
okay. But would you pay the $10,000 to get the surgery and fly to Italy if it was available?
If it was available and I had the money, I'd do it.
Okay, awesome. So, is there anything else that you do for intactivism besides protesting and lobbying?
Well, I also do a lot of art that's inspired by the intactivism. One of which I don't know if you're going to be able to see it that well is on my other phone.
Okay.
Basically, it's showing a guy getting the top of his head cut like you would a circumcision, but his mouth is all melted saying USA because the United States tries to keep men from speaking out about the harm that they've suffered. I also have with me, if you can see this, it says slave to the scar.
Okay.
Basically, reminding you that you never had full control over your body.
Yeah. That is some pretty deep and powerful things. So, uh, if my audience wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
I've got an email called endcgm@gmail.com. And I also have the campaign to end child genital mutilation on Facebook.
Okay, awesome. And I'll put those links down below for anybody who wants to go and get those. So, Walter, what do you think about Prevail over the system?
Prevail over the system.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, I was wondering what POT stood for. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're very professional in your questioning. I like the way you did it.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'm glad that I got to meet you today.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to try and remember that about the charity.
Oh, yeah, the POTS charity program. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. All right, so we're running out of time. If you have anything you want to leave our audience off with, or any piece of advice, or one thing that they should get from this video or interview, what would it be?
It would be that all children deserve to be treated equally from the day that we're born. If we're going to protect one group from non-therapeutic cutting, even for customary or cultural reasons, we need to do that for all.
All right, awesome. Thank you. That was Walter Fletcher. I hope you guys had fun hanging out with us and learned new things. Also, as Walter brought up, you can support Prevail over the system and intactivism by learning and doing the POTS e-commerce program. It costs you nothing extra to do. Join my Discord to learn more about it. It keeps us going so we can keep doing this. Also, don't forget to give this a like and share it. That really helps us out, and hopefully it can get Walter more popular so more people can tune in to him and follow him. What did you guys think of Walter? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you for watching. Bye.